Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. The session has been brought after a lot of planning and collaboration with three very important organizations in our community. And we are truly blessed to have so much talent. If you don't mind, can you mute yourself so that we avoid any background noise? Again, as I mentioned, we will have question and answer sessions. You can always put questions in the chat at any time. If this is your first time attending Olive, welcome. My name is Zainab Husseini. I'm the program manager. We do these weekly sessions on Mondays, 10 to 11, with gentle exercise and meditation, 11 to 12 different topics. You can always visit our website, www.olivecs.org, to see our calendar, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, to see what we're up to. They say that sometimes the hardest decisions are only meant to be made because a better purpose is waiting. And that's why we're here today talking about such an important topic, because it really brings into focus some things that may be challenging to talk about with your family and friends, but at the same time, so helpful to know. We have three guest speakers and another special guest speaker that I will be introducing. We have Susan Papiri from Dignity Memorial. She has over 30 years experience in business development and marketing in the senior care industry, including skilled nursing and nonprofit. Susan Papri currently serves as Community Relations Director, Orange County and North San Diego markets for Dignity Memorial. She believes in their mission and is in the sentiment that there is no greater honor than helping to remember a life well lived. Our other second speaker is Lily Navas. Many of you may recognize Lily as a familiar face. She joined the Westminster Memorial Park in April 1999. She just hit 25 years of serving her community. She was a counselor for most of her time there, and then now a manager for the past 8 years. She lives in Garden Grove. We also have Nigar Rangoonwala. She is a licensed funeral director for MMCC-Muslim Mortuary and Cemetery Committee. She's been with them since 1992. She's celebrating over 25 years in the field. We have a special guest speaker, honorary guest speaker, Brother Abdul Wahab. He's the board director and treasurer for MMCC since 1999. So I am so happy to see everyone here today. Welcome again, and I'm going to allow Susan and Lily to start again. They will have a question answer session. You are welcome to share your screen. Susan? Go ahead, Susan.
Thank you. Again, if you're on your phone, I know it's a little more difficult to find where you should mute, but if you'll take a moment to check that, we would really appreciate it. I am so honored to be with you today with my wonderful colleague, Lily, who, like Zainab said, many of you may know. And we are here to talk about a really important concept that's a lot easier to talk about than death, but death happens to all of us. What I want to talk about is legacy, why it's important, what it is, and how to preserve it. So legacy is the long-lasting impact of a particular event or events, actions, and etc. that took place in the past or of a person's life. So legacy can be professional and it can be personal. You might want to make sure you've left a legacy if you are active in business of something that you did that was important for your community, your state, your nation, and so on. Perhaps you are somebody who invented something very important and you would like your legacy to continue beyond your death so that people would know that you were able to help this world. For others, legacy might be much more personal. It's a legacy perhaps of teaching your children how to be good citizens, of maybe within your household, teaching your children something that is going to help them go further in the world. So legacy can mean different things to different people. Lily, you want to take this?
I will. So, what now? The logic and wisdom behind pre-planning is what we try to strive to every family out there with questions that should be asked prior to death occurring. So questions to ask: do you have a pre-purchase certificate for your burial plot? If so, does your family know where it's at? Where's that safe space that you have it in? You may also want to ask if there's a trust or a will so that everyone in the family knows where everything's at. Upon death, do you have any specific people that you would like to attend your ritual washing? I have free personal planning guides that allow you to make your wishes known, and I'd be glad to accommodate anyone that wants one of those by just giving me a call. You can write your wishes and let them be known as far as who would you want to attend your washing. In the event a casket is needed for burial, would you be in agreement to the traditional casket that returns to the earth quickly, which would be wood, or do you have a different preference? And lastly, is there anything else that anyone needs to be made known so that your family is lessened with the anxiety that comes with making all these decisions at the time of death? A wise decision shows that you care. It provides you and your family with peace of mind. It eases the financial burden, and it ensures that your arrangements reflect your wishes. And by putting these things all in place, it makes sense that your family knows where it is on the time that they're going to need it most.
So what does this all have to do with legacy? Well, by planning forward, you are preserving your legacy. As Lily mentioned, it can reduce the anxiety of who do I call, what do I do, and all of those things that come up if you have not at least discussed this with other people. And may I remind you yet again, please to mute your phones. Thank you so much. One thing that we get asked a lot is if somebody has any kind of cognitive impairment, such as Alzheimer's or just some type of dementia, is it too late to plan with them? To which we have to answer, well, that depends. So if you have a loved one that is dealing with this type of cognitive issue, the quality or state of being worthy or honored or esteemed is really important. That is the definition of dignity, and we must help them maintain that. So depending on the stage which your loved one may be experiencing, if this is an issue, making sure they're included in as many choices as possible can help them feel they are still in control of the world around them. That's one thing about any kind of illness that can happen as we age or come into some type of disease process. It doesn't even have to be aging. And that is loss of control, loss of choices. So if your loved one is still within the first stage or stages of a dementia process, you may still be able to, on a good day, be able to sit with them and ask them if there are some specifics they want to communicate with you that you can make note of regarding what they want as their final plans. If they've always been a practical person, letting them know you feel it's time to get these things in order and asking their opinion can really help start that conversation. If they're not quite comfortable about talking about themselves, maybe you can introduce it as if you were talking about you. You know, I've started thinking about this and I need your help to help me decide some of these. Would you mind talking to me about that? That could be one of the approaches that you can use. I know it's a delicate subject. These are just some suggestions. And if no pre-planning has been done and they are not able to really discuss this with you any longer, they've gone into the mid and later types of stages, simply sitting with them and talking about memories, because with many dementia, you lose the memories that you have more recently and you keep the ones that happened long ago. Your memory kind of gets lost backwards. So to just speak with them and talk about things that were good memories in the past, you might be able to come up with some stories that you can share with loved ones when the time comes for a type of ceremony that you might want.
So did you know? So for everyone holding a certificate with Muslim Mortuary Cemetery Committee, knowing that you're going to be laid to rest at Westminster Memorial Park, upon death, you always want to reach out to your mortuary, unless it's an unsupervised death, such as the death death at home without hospice involved, or an unsupervised death that requires you to call 911. You want to reach out to the mortuary. They're going to have you fill out a vitals form, which is your death certificate for your loved one. This form is very important, that when death occurs, that you're reaching out to the mortuary first. I've been working myself with Sister Nigar and Brother Wahab for 25 years. So we work well together and we know when to expect something from each other. So following the protocol makes the burial so much more easier. So reaching out to your mortuary, them instructing you to fill out the vital information, which would be your loved one's death certificate. The mortuary is going to send the paperwork to the chosen cemetery that you've chosen to bury at. And then once the cemetery rep has that paperwork, they're going to reach out to the family to schedule an appointment for the family to come in, fill out the paperwork, and show them either the selected grave or the next grave. It's real important that when your loved one dies, that information on the vital form is specific and legal, so that everything is filed with the county and our paperwork, that it doesn't hold up a burial. It's always very important to know that the legal next of kin must show up for the appointment so that there's not a delay. I know a lot of times the gentlemen want to take over and show up at the appointment to, if dad died, to save mom from her grieving already. But because mom is the legal next of kin, we need that signature. And sometimes that's what delays the burials on our part. Also, if you have your parents, one has passed and now the second one has passed, if there's 5 children, all 5 children are considered the legal next of kin. And so at that appointment, when the cemetery representative reaches out to the family, although one could be the leader and take charge and be the one to pay or make decisions, we need all 5 children at the appointment, unless someone holds power of attorney.
About that, I didn't see you there. I'll be right back. Okay? Thank you very much.
So that's real important to know, is if it's your second parent that has now passed on, all of the children need to make their way to our appointment at the same time, so that we can secure signatures from all of the family members to have a smooth transition into here at the cemetery.
And just to hone in on the point that Lily was making, if there is not someone in your family that is designated as that legal power of attorney, then thank you. Then please make sure that that discussion happens, because it can really cause problems when you've got a lot of children in the family and maybe you can't get them all in the same room. So just a little point about that.
And nowadays, not everyone is in the same state. We're aware of that. So if there are multiple children, but let's say out of 5 children, only 3 are local and the other 2 could be out of the state or out of the country, you just need to come with their email address and phone numbers for us, and we will gladly DocuSign everything to them. You just need to make the family aware that mom has now passed and we're on our way to the funeral home, and they're going to be reaching out to you via DocuSign. I need that sent back to me as soon as possible. We're trying to make this burial happen in the fastest time frame possible, but without having proper vitals and the entire family show up at the same time to have all signatures, I can't allow my grounds crew to move forward by opening up a site and securing that person that allows me to bury. So that's really important also.
Okay, thank you, Lily. Just a little side note, I know you are all being very proactive and staying very active with Olive community. However, there is a community of widows and widowers that there's a different feel to your life once you have lost your spouse. And so Dignity Memorial does have a specific program, if you wanted to know about it or tell somebody about it, called LIFT. It's a social support program that can add to the wonderful programs that Olive has and help these people feel less isolated. That's one of the problems with death, is that you become rather isolated through it. So we do things like we take tours of the Segerstrom Center. We do yoga. We do cooking classes. There are many things. And if you want to know the type of things we do, you can simply go on our Orange County Dignity site and take a look at any of the events that are happening.
And again, working closely with Olive, we just want to be another branch to reach out there to the community, what to look for in a provider. Our highest standards of service with 100% satisfaction guarantee. So every time we do a burial, we want to meet or exceed your expectations. You know, there is no do-over. We bury once. We want it to be satisfied the way that you want, in a timely manner. Always, whatever we're capable of do it, we strive to do that. We also do have bereavement classes here twice a month, free of charge in our lobby for 2 hours, and that's free for the community also. So anyone out there, we don't want you to feel like you're alone. We've got a network of people that come in here. We have certified grief counselors. We have a pastor on site, and they mimic that room's activity based on who visited us that Tuesday. So it could be loss of the spouse, loss of a child, loss of a children. We're there for you no matter what, reaching out to the community. Programs to help your loved one even after the funeral. We do have brochures and grief material free for the taking. If that's something that you need, always just reach out to me or reach out to one of your support staff, such as Nigar, and she can gladly get a hold of me, and I can get you those topics, whether it's a son, daughter, mother, father, grandma, grandpa. We can help you through the grieving process as best as possible. We're here to educate the community on what we have to offer and just work well together as one.
That's right, Lily. Just to let you know that Dignity Memorial has received the J.D. Power President's Award. It's an honor achieved only by 12 recipients in the nearly 50-year history of this award. So just to let you know, if you've ever spoken with Lily or dealt with Lily, you know this is true already. We really mean it when we say we want to make sure that everything is to your satisfaction. One last thing before we say goodbye, and that is when you are doing the paperwork to get a legal document done, like a death certificate, you need to really be sure that the name you are giving to the mortuary is the legally recognized name of that person. Otherwise, it will hold up that documentation, right, Lily?
Yes, and just realize, because a lot of people have this question, and probably a lot of people don't know, so I'll share it for the first time with you guys here today. Everyone has known me for 25 years as Lily. Lily of the Valley, Lily of the Fields, I've been called it all, but I've been known as Lily. When my time comes, my legal name is Lydia. So a lot of people don't know that, but my mom can't put Lily on a death certificate. It would have to be Lydia. My middle name is Cordula, and my last name's hyphenated, Navas. So I've got one of those long ones that take up all the pages, but legally, upon my death, the vitals must show Lydia Cordula Navas. There's always a piece underneath there that says also known as, and that's where you can put Lily. But know that this is just legally for you to close out life insurance policies, deeds, anything legal that needs to have someone's legal name on it. That's what Nigar's looking for. When it comes to me and my staff here and telling a story of a life lived on your headstone or the marker or the tombstone, whatever way you consider it, on that, you can put whatever you want. So on that is where mine says Lily, because most people knew me as Lily, but legally I'm known as Lydia, which is legal on all passports, driver's license, etc. But don't think that that legal name has to transfer to your memorial that's placed here at the cemetery for all to see for eternity. That is where you can tell a story of a life lived and have the name or the nickname or loving mama or nana or auntie. That's where you're going to show who that person truly was and that everyone knows.
So that's the end of our presentation. We wanted to keep it very short and sweet and just give you some things to think about in order to preserve the legacy of your loved one or yourself. You can take a picture of this page so that you have Lily's contact information if you have any questions about what we spoke about. And of course, I know you have other sources for information. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And I'm going to stop sharing right now. Zainab, in case there are any questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Susan and Lily. That was very insightful, and I learned so many new things myself. If anybody has questions for Susan and Lily, we can take a couple of questions before we move on to the next speakers. I have many of you muted, so you would have to either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Either is fine. Let's take a few questions. Anyone? Okay.
Yes, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Farkunda.
So, my mind is like wandering all over. I just lost my mom 2 weeks ago back home. So, what I understand is, even though we have the death certificates for me and for my husband here in USA through where Nigar Rangoonwala works, MMCC. So when the time arises, do we still have to call Lily you, or do we call the MMCC?
You're going to call MMCC always, because I communicate directly with Nigar and Abdul. So always Nigar first, and then your information will be sent to me, which makes them aware that they're sending it to me. And then I'm aware I have to get ready to do a burial, and we communicate back and forth. So your person that you always send to would be MMCC.
Okay.
And from there we take over.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now I have a question. This is Rubina. By the way, thank you very much, Susan and Lily. What was the one thing that you said we could do so that everybody in the family doesn't have to come? Is that power of attorney, or is it special instruction or something?
It would be
that seemed burdensome to get everybody together.
So if you have your trust for your family, that's going to have a power of attorney over health care. That's the magic word. It's not just a power of attorney. A power of attorney dies pretty much when the person does.
Right.
But a power of attorney over health care has a clause in there, 7100, that says disposition of human remains. So that means I have now died. Who am I leaving in charge of following my wishes to bury me at Westminster Memorial Park, in the Muslim garden, etc.? So those are easily done with any trust attorney or online or with illegalshield.com. You can designate one of those 5 children to say, when I die, I'm just going to do children number 1 that's here in Garden Grove with me. Then that means upon your death, the other 4 don't need to come. They sure are welcome to come, but the only signature I need legally on my paperwork is the person that brings me that power of attorney over healthcare. You just want to be sure it's done properly and notarized to be acceptable at the time of someone's passing.
Is that good, Rubina?
Yes, that is. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I have a question. My name is Rohan.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I administer a burial program for the Islamic Center of South Bay, and also the same program I also administer for the Sri Lanka Muslim Association for the past 10 years. So basically it is like an insurance program. So when a death occurs, we take care of the entire janaza program. So we have purchased burial plots from MMCC. We have got burial plots at Forest Lawn, and we through MMC we have at Westminster. But the problem is now we are having difficulty in purchasing burial plots in most of these places. They have stopped selling it to organizations. So that is the biggest issue that we are facing. But we do, by doing this for the community on a constant basis, we have been able to streamline all of this that you're talking of, the paperwork. And most often we get the e-sign document where we forward it to the next of kin of the deceased family, and they give all this important information. And we too gather the information at the time of the member signing up, because very often these people, they don't have certain information like the children.
In response to your question, can I answer?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Gunny. Bye. Go ahead. You have your hands up. Speak up.
He's muted. Oh.
Is he muted? No. You can go ahead and answer.
Yeah, in response to his question, Cyprus Mortuary has some spaces left. As
Okay.
as well as the place in
Yes.
Artesia, I understand Artesia has some places left too.
Mhm.
There's a mortuary in Artesia, city of
Okay.
Artesia. So
Okay.
maybe I can get some information on that.
I think this is a great segue to our next two speakers, because I think these are definitely good to know in terms of challenges, because this is not an easy process by all means. And it's hard and difficult, but that's why we have these community organizations working towards solutions for us. So let me take the spotlight on, put the spotlight on both our next two speakers. And Susan and Lily, you're welcome to stay online if you still can, because I'm sure there will be some questions in the end. And for me, the biggest moment when I was arranging this this talk was seeing the synergy, how everyone knew each other, and it was so refreshing and really great to see. So let's bring on Sister Nigar Rangoonwala and Brother Abdul Wahab, both leaders in our community who've been doing this for 25 plus years. And we would love for them to let us know about MMCC, who they are, what they do, what services they provide, and what are their challenges. Please go ahead.
I don't know. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lily. How are you?
Good, dear.
Okay, I have been working with Lily, and she's the best person to contact all the time. And she's very cooperative and very helpful always. Thanks, Lily, for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, now first thing is MMCC is a Muslim Mortuary and Cemetery Committee. We are licensed funeral home. So we have a license for a funeral home. I have my funeral director's license and broker's license. So legally we can talk about this. If you don't have a license, even if you don't have a counselor's license, you cannot talk about it. So this is really important that you should be licensed. And another, Abdul Wahab can tell you how long MMCC has been working on this. Abdul Wahab, if you want to go ahead.
Bismillah ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, most gracious, merciful. Muslim Mortuary Cemetery Committee started 1992. Our first graves were bought in Melrose, 660 of them. may God bless them, the 5 members who felt that we need to have cemetery for the Muslim community. Just like Catholic or other churches, they do. So Muslim felt that they should have their own grave for that one. So the first, we bought it in 1992. After that, we went to the Westminster, and we bought those graves in 2000. So far, we have in Melrose, Laverne, Westminster, and Montecito. Montecito is in the city of Colton. So far, we have about close to 5,500 graves that we have resold. And out of 5,500, we have buried approximately close to 4,000 people for that. So still 1,500 people have the certificates sitting over there in the cemetery. And it's been running for that one. And hopefully we are looking for the new places for that one to see, because Westminster ran out. We asked them for that one, but they are just giving to the community people instead of giving to the organizations. And they hope we will consider that one, so we can buy from them more grave to accommodate the other people. That the Islamic Society of Orange County also have their own graves in the Cypress forest lawn for that one. And also they have graves available in Roseville too. Our process is very, very simple. Our first thing when the call comes in, it's very difficult for them to think when the person has just died next day. I mean, right next to sitting over there, they're confused, especially the people, young people. So our job is to give them first thing is comfort. Then, if I get a call, my job is to give them a comfort, then hand over to Sister Nigar after that. And Sister Nigar give them a full detail how the process is done for that. Second thing, there are about 4 masajid have their own mortuaries, licensed mortuary for that one. So all the Muslim bodies goes directly to them. It does not go to any other places, unless they are quite a bit far from that one, and our people cannot reach that one. But other closest city have their own mortuaries too as well. So all the Muslim bodies go straight to the Muslim mosque mortuaries for that one, and they are professionally licensed. And I'm going to hand over to Sister Nigar to explain that much.
Yeah, we have like mortuaries here in Fontana, in Corona, in Garden Grove, and in Walnut. All 4 mosques, they have mortuaries. They have licensed funeral directors in there working for them, and I help them with coordinating bodies, bringing to them, or to helping them with the paperwork. Brother Omar Kenyatta is the one who is handling all 4 of those mortuaries. So if you call me, I would give you his number to fill out all the forms and everything. And then Omar also contacts the cemetery. I have to send them the paperwork. If it is one of the MMCC graves that they are going to use, they need my authorization. Without my authorization, the cemetery will not open the graves for them. So I check if they have a certificate or if they have purchased the grave. Right now, we are not selling graves in any of the cemetery except in Montecito. So if you purchase a grave, then I go ahead and give the authorization to open that spot. We have contact with all 4 of those cemeteries, and we have working with Melrose Abbey and Laverne for a long time. So we have really good contact with them. Of course, Westminster, we have Lily and Tracy over there all the time. And with Montecito also, we have good contact. So if anything happens, if I get a call, I would forward it to Omar to get all the information, to do all the transportation. And of course, if it's in Corona or somewhere close by, Walnut or Fontana, and if they need help in washing, I can find some sisters who can come, or if I'm available, I would go and help them in the washing for the sisters. And for the brothers, they have their own group. All 4 of them, they have their own group of ladies who do the washing, and I'm always available to help anyone if they need help. Anything else anybody wants?
Yes, my next question would be, what are the costs involved when it comes to this? What can you give us an idea of the breakdown? Because my understanding is that this can be expensive.
Yeah, it's getting expensive day by day. all the costs, the grave costs, the opening, closing, the markers are getting expensive, and the mortuaries are also getting expensive, all the transportation. Right now, it's between, I would say, 14,000 to 20, 22, or 23, depending where you're doing the burial. So if you are using a casket, of course, there's a cost for the casket. So between 14 and 22, 23 is the cost, if I'm not wrong. Is Lily, that's correct, right?
Yeah, one thing that I can add to help everyone is everyone that's out there with a certificate, as Abdul was talking about, you can definitely give me a call. And if you're interested, you could come and lock in those fees. You can do a 10% down payment with 0% interest for 48 months. If someone's interested in securing the certificate gives you a guaranteed space at Westminster. But as Nigar was just saying, there's other fees associated with that, such as opening and closing the grave, the vault that doesn't have a floor so that the body sits on the earth, the interring and recording with State of California, the memorial that has the name on it with the prayer. Those things can be paid for in advance so that you lock in the cost so that every time I have a price increase, it doesn't get forwarded to you. So if anyone out there is interested in that, we can look at the screenshot at the end, or you can reach out to Nigar. Everyone has my information. I'd be glad to help you with that. And then I have audited my last cemetery map for phase 6. And although spaces are limited, our phase 5, we still have availability for people to bury at the time of need. And I'm trying to leave that only for the community for when death occurs, so that we're able to have you buried at Westminster Memorial Park right now when we're unsure if I'm going to open another section or not. But I did review my last map prior to this web call, and I have, I believe, 6 graves that I can offer to the community. So if there's someone out there, a husband and wife, I can help 3 of you. Or if there's 6 single people like me that would like to be buried at Westminster Memorial Park in my phase 6, you can reach out to me after the web also, and I can help everyone with that. My full package price in the garden right now ranges right between $19,000 and $21,000. And that would include the grave, the opening of the grave, the closing, the marker, the installation, the vault, the interring and recording of the body with State of California. So a full cemetery package in my garden with 6 spaces available right about now will run between 19 and 21. The difference is whether or not it's a flat headstone or if the headstone stands up. I'm not sure on my quantity. I think I have flats left, but if anyone's interested, I do want to reach out and offer that to the community also. Or call me with your certificate and you can come in and finish everything. I believe that price is a little under $6,000 still, Nigar, on my
Yeah,
side.
it's around 5,500 something.
Yeah, so it's under 6,000 to complete all of your arrangements if you have a certificate. Again, 48 months, no interest.
And Lily, does
Right.
that include the casket, if that is?
No, because
Okay.
caskets are normally purchased by the mosque or the funeral home or Brother Omar, and they usually have those on site, basic wood that will,
Yeah,
go
but
to
whatever the graves we have, MMCC, all 4 graveyards that where we have our sites, we don't use a casket. So you don't require a casket. Of course, if you go to Rose Hills or you go to Cypress, then you will require a casket. But for MMCC sites, we don't require a casket at all. And I would also advise everybody to purchase the head. If you have a certificate, go ahead and make your payment for the opening, closing, and everything. Lily is offering a payment plan. So I would advise everybody to do that so you can lock in the price. And after 10, 15 years, Allah give you long life, it will be locked.
Yeah, and then just a side note, as Nigar said, MMCC does not require a casket, and that's our traditional way of burying, is to shroud the body and have the body laying on the earth. But unforeseen things that happen, such as COVID, You know, when I get a body that is COVID positive, if my state regulation says, no, I need to casket it and protect my employees, then we have to do that. So we do follow the state guidelines. If a disaster happens, that's the only exception. But normally, you know, 99% of the time, we want to honor and not have a casket burial. But there have been some bodies flown in that are casketed and the family chooses to keep them that way. We will honor that also.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that insight. Brother Abdul Wahab, please share a little bit about what how the burial looks like. I've seen you very active in some of the burials I've visited myself. Is there a process to that that I think our audience can benefit from?
I need to get permission from Mr. Nigar. She's the funeral director. Am I allowed to speak?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thank you. One of the processes, all our cemeteries are all equal. Our processes are simple. Headstones are all equal. So everybody, whether you are rich or poor, the headstone is going to be same size, only have 3 names, name, date of birth, and one of the Quranic ayah for that. That's it. The burial process is very unique for that one. We put 3 cloths for the men and 5 piece of cloth for the women. When the burial process starts, our face is supposed to be toward the Kaaba side. So the people who go downstairs, on down, about 3 people are allowed to go inside. We explain to them how to face toward the Kaaba. If it's a sister, it's still their children go over there and try to, or if they're relatives. We explain to them how to bury the process and turn it very carefully to make sure body does not get hurt, because the body is underneath one of the plastic board for that one. So you have to remove it very easily, make it comfortably, make sure that the body is turned very easily and does not fall down, and make sure that face toward the Kaaba. So I always suggest them to touch the nose to facing toward the Kaaba side, because this is our Islamic requirement, is that every person who is buried toward the Kaaba side. That's why every our mortuaries, the way we lose about 8 graves, but we turn the body such a way that when we lose about 8 graves, but it toward the face of the Kaaba side. And that's the very simple process. We make it easy for every one of them. And we train some of the people for that one too. So right now, today, we have one burial. So one of the Hasham is going to go over there and explain to them how to bury the person for that. So then everybody learn, because one day our turn is going to be leaving from this place too. So somebody else is going to take it over, inshallah.
Right. You know,
I have a question
preparing...
for Lily.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Lily, I want to know now, we have several of the certificates, basically like in open papers from MMCC. Now, with your payment plan to fix those the charges, can we do that if there is no name assigned to those certificates?
Yes, I just put the certificate number.
Okay, good, because Cyprus, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I just put the certificate number and match it to it so that your house is in
we
order.
lock in those charges and we pay the 48 installments.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so
I
much.
have a question.
Yes, if you don't mind, can we wait for questions in a few minutes? We'll be starting our questions in a bit. One question I have for Sister Nigar, again, I was so impressed with the knowledge both, all of you share, all of our speakers share in the room. Can you share a little bit about how you became a licensed funeral director, what brought you into this, and, the need for having more people trained in something of this nature, because it's not only rewarding, but such a great service to the community. Can you share a little bit more?
If you give me a little 1 second, Sister Nigar, I just forgot to mention that one. If it's okay.
Sure.
All 5 board members, it is our MMCC's non-profit organizations. This is strictly volunteer work. Just want everybody to know that one. Nobody get paid. All 100% strictly nonprofits. We pay only for 3 items. We have to rent one of the room for that one, office, telephone, and rent. These are the 3 things we pay for that one. Doesn't pay from our own pocket for that. So all the grades that we are sold, that we're going to look for the other properties. So everything 100% all of volunteers are all volunteers only for that. Please, Nigar.
Yeah, okay. I started in 1995 and my husband started working for MMCC and we were operating as the mortuary in Riverside. So he would do wash the men and I would wash the women. I would assist him in all the paperwork and everything. And then I decided to get my funeral director's license, which I got in 2000. And then since then I have my license, but we didn't have a mortuary. Then we've got one in ISOC Masjid, and that's where I started first working as a funeral director for MMCC. And I worked there for a few years. And then after that, I started working from Fontana Masjid. We built the mortuary there, and I worked there as a funeral director. And then I worked from Melrose Abbey in coordination with MMCC as a funeral home. So I have been working with all them. Right now, we don't have a mortuary, but we still have a licensed funeral home license, so we can operate and look for something new, which we can help the community with that. Yeah, I've been working with MMCC for almost more than 25 years. So
that's truly inspiring. And how do you become a licensed funeral director? Is there coursework involved? Is there an examination?
There is some classes that are offered, funeral director, mortician classes in Cypress College, where you can take it. And if you have a knowledge and everything and you have studied it, go ahead and take an exam right away. And then maybe if you pass the exam, you get your license. There are some requirements for the license. They need you to have a associate or a bachelor's degree, and they require all those things. But it's not that difficult. And I would advise the young community to please go ahead and see if you can take that license. We had few people who did take the license, but they didn't want to work as a funeral director. It's a 24/7 job. And you have to be very compassionate. You have to face everything. So at time of death, when you're talking to somebody, you should know how to deal with them. And so it's a little difficult job, but somebody has to take over. As Wahab was saying, we need to retire or we might pass away, and we need somebody to take over. Yeah, definitely we need somebody.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, we are blessed to have community members like yourselves volunteering your time. Would either one of you like to share an instance, a story, just to give perspective of how a normal or what you can say, an unexpected day at MMCC looks like? A phone call that comes in, the morning hours, or a challenge that you guys faced and how you overcame it.
Yeah, Brother Wahab can go into that.
90% call goes to Sister Nigar. So I would suggest for that one, I'm going to give you my brief that when sometime, I was giving an example to Sister Zainab that we were just talking. I said, before she took it over, I received a phone call at 2:30 in the morning. The young fellow was living with his grandmother. And he started almost get shook up. He said, my grandma passed, what am I supposed to do? So my job was to first comfort him, calm him down for that one. I said, everything's going to be running very smoothly. I asked him some of the questions, legally questions for that one, where the body is. Are you in hospice for that one? Are you at home? And if he said, yeah, I'm home, I said, please call the first paramedic. They will evaluate for that one. They will call the police, and the police will release the body or take it to the coroner. So he said, no, it's in the hospice for that. I said, good. So then tell the hospice people to come and sign the paper to make sure the person died. Then I gave him advice to prepare the Brother Omar is going to send you 2 forms called, one is vital form and one is a release form for that one. Fill those one out, and we will bring the body back to our mosque for that one. And all the process is going to be starting from that one to whistle process for the sisters. And you're going to sign some papers if you are the caretaker for that one. And then process started. So alhamdulillah, we buried the person very smoothly for that one within 48 hours.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that story. It just gives us so much perspective. For those of you asking contact information, MMCC has their own website, and there is a contact phone number on here. It's a 800 number, 877-991-6622. So that's their phone number. And, you know, I believe who picks up the phone call when this phone?
The phone call will come to me. I would pick
It
it.
will
If I
come.
don't pick up, then Brother Abdul Wahab will pick up the phone.
Okay, so
But
for
first it
those of
comes
you
to me.
wondering, and then there is a good breakdown of the kind of services and the process. If you still have questions, please to take advantage of their website, and I will make sure I share this in the chat. All right. One last thing before we head to questions. I believe there is a card because I myself work in a medical facility, and you know, sometimes there might be family members who want to go through a Muslim burial, and the remaining family members are not from the same faith. And you know, or they could be involved in an accident, pass away. MMCC, I understand, provides a card that you
we
can
have
carry
this.
with you. Thank you for sharing that, Nigar, Sister Nigar. So it just says that, you know, what does it say?
It says it's a religious identification.
Okay, so that's something to consider to have with you, or some kind of in writing in your wallet or something. If you don't have the physical card, I will try to bring some with me at an olive meeting in the future, in case, you know, you would like to have that on you. Now,
Also, we have prepared an autopsy form, which we have prepared, and we give those out too. So you sign it, and you have two witnesses sign it that you don't want an autopsy. So in case something happens, you're in an accident or you die suddenly, the coroner will usually do an autopsy. But if you have that form signed, it might work, and it's your request not to do an autopsy. So they will accept that, and they will not do the autopsy. So it's best you keep this one. Also has do not do an autopsy. So sign this. So this works, not always, but it does work sometimes. So it's better to have this on that form signed and keep it with you. So in case you don't want to do the autopsy.
That's definitely very helpful, because there have been times where I've been asked, like I said, again, family needs contacts from the faith-based community that the family member is from, and it's always helpful. So now we're going to open up the questions. So if you are able to raise your hand virtually, if you know how to do that, that's fine. If not, speak up, and please don't speak over somebody else. One at a time. We will be happy to take them in. We have about 7 minutes for questions, so we'll try our best to you know, cover as much as we can. So Farkunda, I'm sorry I had last time had you wait. Do you still have a question, or was it answered?
Yes, I do. So my question, I guess, is for either one of you, Sister Nigar or Brother Abdul Wahab. My question is, we do have the certificates, and as the Westminster cemetery is filling up, so are we still guaranteed because we have the certificates, or will we be moved somewhere else?
No, whoever the certificate has been issued, we are saving the graves for them. So in time of need, when you present your original certificate, inshallah, MMCC will honor the grave, because that's what we promised.
Thank you.
I just want to mention
it could be in Westminster, Melrose Abbey, Laverne, Montecito, anywhere you have the certificate for, but you have to have the original. So please make sure you have the original, which needs to be turned in at time of use.
And let family members know, and let your family members know where you're saving it, right? In your home or whatever safe place you have it.
Yeah.
You know, always
people have lost their certificates. MMCC does not issue new certificates. We do not give duplicates, because we don't want certificates running around all over. So we are not issuing any duplicates or any new certificates. So please save your certificates and keep them in a safe place, and let your family know.
Thank you. This is not a question, just for a comment for Brother Abdul Wahab. You came to Mission View Masjid some 25, 30 years ago. when the cemetery was created, and people wouldn't buy the burial grounds. And my husband, he bought 4 because it was just 4 of us at that time. And now looking at the cost, like, wow, he did a wise decision, because now I think people were like not convinced because we were young. It's like, we don't need one. Like, why do we need to have this? So, but that's when he had the wisdom. So he bought 4. So
Yeah. Yes, pre-planning, and usually with a Muslim burial, it's very quick and fast. So coming up with that amount of money can be challenging for a lot of families. And to be very honest, some can simply not afford it. So the community really has to, put their foot forward and, whatever donations and whatnot to overcome that challenge. So is this a challenge across the board, Brother Abdul Wahab, Sister Nigar, and Lily? And the pricing, how are we? It looks like 2 things are standing out here: is the cost of a burial, and also the number of graves, availability. How are we overcoming this challenge as a community?
You want to ask Sister Nigar or myself?
Either one. Go ahead.
I think for Westminster, we're working together with Abdul and Nigar, and we do have availability when someone passes away right now. And I think when we run out of those, that we'll all come together and figure something out. I feel both Nigar and Abdul are being very humble. These 2 work 24 hours a day, because I know I've been working with them for 25 years. I want to personally say thank you. There have been services out of my reach that I couldn't have done myself without the help of Abdul. And he gets out and leads everyone, and he really makes my job easier. And a lot of the burials wouldn't take place if I didn't have him to lean on and say thank you for that. And as far as the paperwork goes, Nigar always calls. And if it's something that we can do, we're going to make it happen. And it's always in the best interest of the families, and it has nothing to do with us. We're here to serve the community.
Thank you for sharing.
On behalf of MMCC, likewise.
All right. So would you like to answer the question too, Brother Abdul Wahab, about the challenge of space and cost? Is there anything you would like to add, or it's something that MMCC is also working on as we move forward? Like in the future, I'm wondering, as a younger person, after the session, I definitely know that it's something I need to look into for me and my family, with a given cost and inflation. But, will there be options of this nature in the future is also always something to think about.
You want to answer, or I should answer, Sister Nigar?
Yeah, go ahead.
Those people that have certificates, I would advise that what you just heard from our young lady, Sister Lily, that please go ahead and make the payments, monthly payments. We have made an arrangement with the Westminster, Melrose, Laverne, and I don't know about the Montecito yet, but all 3 of them, you can make the opening and closing payments, just like 10%. They offer 40 years. Melrose offer only 2 years. So it's better to make a payment because the cost is increasing. From COVID, I'm going to complain to Sister Lily. It was about close to $3,000. Today is about $5,600 for that. They honestly, they're taking advantage out of that one. I'm very sorry to say that. All the cemeteries, they have increased their cost a huge amount for that. So it is not fair for them, but that's the way that we had to pay the cost for that, but we don't have any choice. So I would suggest, because I paid mine about 2 years ago, and many other people have paid for that one, so I would advise to pay. Now, regarding the people who cannot afford. So every masjid has a plan. So what they do, somebody's are completely poor, so the Masjid al-Faruq, they will take their body to Palmdale. And their total cost is $6,000, which is about 120 miles from Orange County. So you pay that amount for that. They will pay the amount, and the body will be taken to Palmdale for that one. Those who cannot afford that. So that's the other options we have.
Thank you so much for sharing. We'll take one last question by Mr. Shabir Mansouri here in the house. Please speak up.
Yes, just one quick question I have. We're talking about the total cost, but Brother Abdul Wahab or Nigar, Sister Nigar can answer this. If you can break it down, the cost of the burial site plus other costs, I think there are, if I understand, there are 3 parts to it. If you can explain to us what are those 3 parts.
Okay, I can tell you that for right now, as Lily told you, they have plots available, which they are going from 19 to 21. Say if you pay 21 for the grave, plus the opening, closing, marker and everything, 21 to Westminster. And of course, you'll have the mortuary charges, which right now is running around $3,000. So it's 21 plus 3, 24. Give and take, keep 25,000 under your pillow so that when times come, your family is not worried about it.
Let me explain one more thing with that. But Sabir Mansoor, you already have the certificates, am I correct? Sabir Mansoor? Yeah. So you don't have to worry about buying the graves. Sister Lily is talking about their own Westminster Muslim sections. As far as the MMCC is concerned, those who have the certificates, so they are covered. Only thing they need to pay the opening and closing, which is about $5,600. Am I correct, Lily?
Yes, 56.
So, and then $3,000 is going to be paid to Islamic Society of Orange County. For they are picking up the body, bringing it back over there, the ablution, the ghusl for that one, putting the shower on that one, take him to the mosque, have a prayer over there, and bring it back to the cemetery for the Westminster. Their total charge are $3,000. Then they will give you, if you need more death certificate, you can pay the more money for that one. So they get the burial certificates, and the death certificate they will provide to you after 6 weeks later.
But that's only if you have a certificate. If you don't
Yes.
have a certificate and you're going to buy a grave at that moment, in Westminster, it's going to be expensive. Melrose Abbey also has their own Islamic section, which they're selling their graves. And so if you buy from them, it's somewhere from, say, 16 to 21.
All right. Thank you so much for answering. I know we are at time. I want to respect our speakers and their time. It's a Monday morning. If you still have questions, please go ahead and email myself, Zainab at olivecs.org. I will put that in the chat right now, and I will be happy to direct the questions to the pertinent speaker and follow up. And again, as I said, you can call those numbers. Everybody shared their numbers for your follow-up questions. We are extremely honored to bring this presentation to you, this topic that is of utmost importance for all ages to be considering. And I hope you are leaving today's session with not just, a sense of knowing what the process looks like, but questions of how, or a sense of motivation to give back and help, because this is a major service you can volunteer for. And it's so needed in our community. Like I said, these individuals are going above and beyond, and they've openly shared they would like to retire too at some point. So, take the advantage of training with them or experiencing it, shadowing them maybe, and, learning the process. Because, mentorship is huge when it comes to these kind of things. And maybe this could be your calling, your purposeful work. So I hope you enjoyed today's session, you learned from it, and you take this conversation back to your family. And thank you again to all of our speakers. We are extremely grateful for your presence. And thank you, Susan, Lily, from your busy schedules, and Brother Abdul Wahab and Sister Nigar. We are so grateful for all of you. Everyone's giving you a round of applause. I'm not sure they're muted, but they're all giving you your applauses. But take care, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day. I will see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Olive Community Services is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Southern California that provides culturally appropriate services to seniors, their family, and the community. Through its physical and virtual interactive programs, Olive engages participants in a variety of ways that promotes health and well-being. To learn more about Olive Community Services, to get involved, or to make a donation, please visit www.olivecs.org or email info@olivecs.org. Be a change maker, and together, let's live, learn, and thrive.